Hey, Paul.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so the agenda, I'm going to ask for a motion to amend the agenda to add I don't have that here.
Yeah, you don't need application. We're just setting a public hearing date for 10 Saltaire Drive.
Okay, to receive and set, is that it?
Yeah, so make it number 4. We got to set a receive and set the public hearing date for the tours, and then receive and set a public hearing date for 10 Saltaire Drive.
So it's number 4.
Yeah, number 4 under regular meeting.
Yeah, receive and set public hearing for what?
10 Saltaire Drive.
What do they want to do?
Demo and rebuild of a single-family house.
Okay. Catch me if I go south. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You'll be fine. And then just add the POCD to new business.
Yeah, because that other one's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
Hey, Dan, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. It's Jerry.
Okay, yeah, so you'll be able to share documents, electronic documents, if you need to as part of your presentation.
Okay.
There's a button at the bottom that pops up to share content. So
Yeah.
you should be able to do that once you're up.
I don't think I'll have to because pretty straightforward, you know.
Right, yeah. I put both of them, thankfully, are pretty straightforward today.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Oh, and then just make sure you mute your mic during the other presentations. Otherwise, we get a lot of feedback. I don't know how many of these you've done.
Oh, hi, Jerry. I'm Paul Lorzell. How are you?
Good, Paul. You?
Good, good, good.
Good.
Maybe that was too many good. Just good, good.
Yeah, right. That's all right. We like good.
We like good, right? Hey, Dan, is anyone going to be there from the town for the synthetic turf at the high school?
I'm not sure. I would assume, honestly, someone from Malone and Broome, but I'm not sure who is, if anyone's going to be from the schools. I don't know if Russ Turner will be on there. He's the person I've been dealing with in terms of permitting. Hey, Mary Jo. Pretty straightforward, though.
Somebody have a vacuum going?
Sounds like it. If it comes down to the call, I can mute everybody.
That might be my laptop fan running. Trying to cool it off.
Already? We haven't even begun.
Yeah, right.
Hello? Anybody there?
Hi, hello, can you hear us?
This is Alan Todd.
Oh, hi, Alan, Paul Orzel.
Hi, Paul.
Are you just doing a telephone in, or?
That's the only way I can connect today, yes.
Okay, good.
Hey, Alan, are
And
you
I-
calling? Let's see if I can check.
Beg pardon?
I was just going to see if I could check your. Let me see if I can find out which one, which person is you, and then I can add your name on there potentially.
User 4's been up there for. Yeah, we got to unplug that fan.
Do you hear it now?
No, not now.
Oh,
A second ago I did.
okay. That's the laptop
Yeah,
fan.
worst comes to worst, we can mute you, Jerry.
You can mute me?
Yeah, or yeah, I can mute you for during the presentation.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
I was trying to mute myself. My first web meeting, so.
Well, there's a lot of that.
Don't beat me up too much. My first web meeting.
Not too much, but a little bit.
At least we're not just looking at everybody's eyes wondering who's who.
Right. Outside of Alan Todd, are there any other zoning commission members that have just dialed in?
It looks like we're waiting on people. I know Jane Cable and Jane Marsh are definitely on. I got an email from somebody saying they could be an alternate if need be.
I believe that was Michael Barnes, possibly if he needed to be, but he wasn't going to be available.
Okay.
But if needed, we can try to tap on him.
Okay. We'll just have to see what happens in the next minute.
Hi, Jerry.
Hey, Jane, how you doing?
Hey, Jane.
How you been?
Yeah, there's Jane. Hi.
Yeah.
I had the pleasure of your mom and dad lately.
When you could.
Oh, Tammy's there.
Hi.
Okay.
What is it?
We're just waiting on Jane Cable now.
I want to put it on. Oh. Where is it? Oh, okay, a minute. Can you help me, B?
There's Tammy. Okay, we'll have 5 if Jane gets in. Hi, Tammy.
Hi. Am I unmuted? Oh my goodness.
You're
Only one.
unmuted. This is how you mute.
Well, I'll be right back. I'm gonna get a quick jerk of water.
Okay. Yes, we've yet to see Miss Cable.
Do you want me to try to give her a call?
Sure.
Hey, Paul, I wonder if she thought it was at 7 still.
Or 7:30.
Everyone.
Ah,
Maria.
oh, there's Maria. Hi, Maria.
Hi.
Do you have her home number, Dan?
She's right there.
Jane's on, yeah. So we're all
Oh, there
set.
she is.
Yep.
She appears to be frozen in time. There, not she's moving.
I'm fine.
You got more.
All right. I guess we have our quorum. So once again, before we start, are there any zoning commission members, alternates that may be on the line that we haven't identified and not on WebEx? No. Okay. Then I guess we can begin. All right, good evening, everyone. This is the regular meeting of the Old Lyme Zoning Commission. Monday, September 14th, 2020. The regular zoning commission members that are attending the meeting are, I'll go through here, Jane Cable, Alan Todd, Jane Marsh. It's tough doing it this way. Alan Todd. So we have 1, 2, 3.
And Tammy.
Tammy, right. Hello. Tammy was waving to me. Tammy Tinarello, myself, Paul Orzel. We have also our zoning enforcement officer, Dan Beret, as well. So the first thing I would like to do is I would like to take a motion to add an agenda item and we would make this item number 4 under the regular meeting, would be to receive and set a public hearing for 10 Saltair Drive regarding demolition and rebuilding of a single-family home.
So moved.
Second,
Second?
second.
Second, okay, second by Jane Marsh. I would set this for, I guess, October. We'll do it for the October meeting. Okay, so that'll become agenda item number 4 under the regular meeting. Okay, we have 2 public hearings
Hey,
this
Paul?
evening. Yes.
Hey, Paul, we were going to
Yes.
add the POCD as well.
Oh, correct. Thank you. Okay. We're also going to add another agenda item. We'll take a motion for that, to have a brief discussion on the plan of conservation and development as submitted by them for comments by the zoning commission. Just to have a quick little chat on that. We'll have that under new business. May I have a motion, please, for that?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. That'll be under regular meeting. That becomes item 5 then. We move over to 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay. That's item 5, new item 5. Okay, so we have 2 public hearings. The first public hearing is to a special permit app. Can we,
Can I ask for folks who are not speaking to mute? Because there's a lot of background noise and I can't hear clearly.
It may be me. Let me check.
It doesn't sound like it's Jerry's vacuum.
No. Yeah.
Ooh, was Miss Cable.
If we need to, I can try to mute people as we go.
That would be great. Makes it easier. And if anyone needs to speak, they can either raise hands or identify.
Okay. Thank you, Jane. It was you.
I'm a noisy little guy.
Okay, so under the public hearings, number 1, special permit application to permit proposed field improvement, which will modify the playing geometry and playing surface from manicured lawn to synthetic turf at the Old Lyme Regional High School located at 69 Lime Street.
So do you want me to read the notices of the meeting?
Yes, please.
All right. Notice is hereby given that the zoning commission of the town of Old Lyme will hold a public hearing at its regular meeting on Monday, September 14th, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. via WebEx to consider and hear comments on the following. I'm not going to repeat all the WebEx join stuff. A special permit application to permit proposed field improvement, which will modify the playing geometry and playing surface from manicured lawn to synthetic turf at the Old Lyme Regional High School located at 69 Lime Street, and a special permit application to relocate first floor bedroom to a newly constructed second floor half-story on a non-conforming lot on property located at 309 Sea Spray Road. At this hearing, interested parties may be heard and written communications received. Copies of the application are in the Land Use Office, 52 Lime Street, Old Lyme, Connecticut. This is dated today, or 31st of August. It was published in the New London Day on Monday, August 31st, and again on Monday, September 7th, 2020.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have anyone here that would be speaking on behalf of this project?
Hold on. Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Kevin Fusilier. I'm a landscape architect with Mylone and McBroom out of Cheshire. We are representing the applicant, which is the schools. Ian Neviser and Ronald, the superintendent, and Ronald Turner, director of facilities and technology, are the applicant on this project. Mylone and McBroom is the landscape architect and civil engineer for it. I don't know if either Ian or Ron are on the call. They can chime in if they want. With me is Dan Krober. He is the civil engineer on the project. He is called in, so you won't see his face, but be fine.
Kevin, this is Ian. We're both here. Ron and I are both here.
Excellent. So,
Mr. Chairman, do you want me to read the list of exhibits?
Yes, please.
All right. We have Exhibit A and A1, which is the special permit application dated July 1st, 2020. and it has the statement of use. Drawings, out of date on this list anyway.
Jane,
Exhibit B,
Jane,
which is the old
Jane.
inland wetlands minutes. We're okay?
Yeah,
Dated
can
May
I
26th.
interrupt you for 1 minute?
Yes.
Jerry, can you please mute yourself, or if,
I already muted him, Paul.
okay.
How do you
thanks.
mute? How do you mute?
There's a, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see some icons. The very first one is mute. Just simply click on that.
Well, I took care of it for him.
Oh, okay, we're
I'll
all set.
unmute him when it comes to it.
Everyone has been muted to, go ahead, Jane, I'm sorry.
Okay. Exhibit B is the old Lyme inland wetlands minutes dated May 26, 2020. Exhibit C is the wetlands permit, 20-07. Exhibit D is the inland wetlands and watercourses legal notice of decision, published May 29th, 2020, approved with conditions. Exhibit E is the legal notice that I just read. And Exhibit F is letter to Mr. Kevin Fusilier concerning the meeting August 27, 2020.
Okay. What happened to Kevin? Kevin's there.
I'm here. So we are set up to kind of walk through the plans, bring up some images, if that's how you want to proceed.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna bear with me while I figure out technology. I have two screens going. All right, we'll start here. All right, so here is the school's campus. You have the middle school in the front with center school along Lime Street, and then we have the high school in the back. And just a little history on this project. We started about 2 years ago. Doing a study looking at what field would be appropriate to convert to synthetic turf. We did some public surveys. We talked to coaches. We talked to school staff. We looked at the three fields. The one in between the middle and the high school is a multi-purpose, primarily soccer, lacrosse field. The field within the running track, and then this larger field in the back. After a lot of decisions, a lot of discussions, and looking at cost estimates and performance of existing fields, it was determined that the field in the back behind Old Lyme High School would be the one that we proposed to convert to synthetic turf. One of the primary driving factors is that this field does not have an irrigation system where the other two do. And that means while it's green for a little while in the spring, after some use, it gets pretty beat up, and it's very difficult for the maintenance to maintain suitable athletic field turf. Let me switch here. Oh, okay, stop sharing that. All right, so here is a rendering of the proposed synthetic turf field. We pretty much stay within the footprint of the existing field. We're actually reducing the size of the existing field. You can see that it's really not a non-conforming shape. The primary field use would be the full rectangle that runs northeast to southwest, and that would be used for soccer, boys and girls lacrosse. They'd be full-size regulation fields. There would be some of this overrun area. This yellow dashed outline could serve as a secondary field, be more so for practice. So there would be one additional goal crease area for practicing. And then there would be overlays for both baseball and softball. Now, they're not intended to be competition baseball and softball fields, but the benefit of synthetic turf is, in February, March, when the snow is melted, these fields are dry and usable for all athletes. So while the grass fields may still not be usable early spring, this field being synthetic would be available for all uses, physical education in the high school as well as the sports. So the field would be, again, built over the old footprint. There is an existing geothermal well under this field, which poses some unique conditions for design and construction. There will be extensive specifications in the project manual for inspection and ongoing testing and inspection of that geowell system throughout construction. The last thing we'd want to do is put a synthetic turf cover over it and have an issue that would need access to the field, below the field. The field would be surrounded by a 4-foot high chain link fence just to control access to the site. But in certain areas behind goal creases, goal areas, here and here and here, and behind the baseball and softball area, we're calling for taller fencing or netting to keep balls from going outside the site and keep them contained. There's no spectator seating being proposed for this. This is really truly going to be primarily a practice field. However, there will be lacrosse games on it, hence why we propose a scoreboard. There are 2 formal access points that are going to be for maintenance primarily to the field. One of the conditions of the open wetlands approvals was to make those a paved surface. We had those as asphalt. So now they're going to be a turf stone. So ignore this call out here in the upper right-hand corner. We agreed with the Inland Wetlands Commission to make that a permanent surface. There is no lighting proposed with this project. However, we are putting infrastructure in for any future electrical needs. So let me bring up the
What is that?
Colin, Logan, please mute yourself. There we go. I'll mute him. All right, I muted him.
All right, this is the plan set that was submitted with the application. Just going through, this dash line represents that geothermal well field that we mentioned that we have to work with and around. This is just our layout plan that is showing the detailed geometry and the fence callouts. Where the field currently is lawn now, mainly against the wetland buffer, there's some pockets that it does not make sense to convert to synthetic turf. So we're going to plant those with a zero maintenance native shrub planting that'll just become naturalized with the tree line. We're not proposing taking down any trees. Again, we're sticking within the existing footprint of the field. This is the grading plan. One benefit of synthetic turf is that we can have a very flat playing surface. So we will take some of the existing hump out of the existing field and give it a more symmetrical crown. And this is the drainage and utility plan. If Dan Krober's on, I'll have him speak briefly about how a synthetic turf field drains differently from a natural grass field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. So this is Dan. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Great. Great. So I'm a professional engineer licensed here in the state of Connecticut. Work with my firm. I work out of our New Haven office, but Kevin and I work on these athletic field projects all around the Northeast. So in terms of what Kevin was just referring to, synthetic turf fields are designed so that they drain. You know, it's one of the really great benefits of a synthetic turf field is that you could play on it when it's raining. You could certainly play on it after it rains. And the reason it functions so well is because you do have a very permeable drainage system underneath the field. So that system is comprised of multiple components. As Kevin said, we basically grade the field out, or subgrade, we kind of grade out. We put a filter fabric on top of that subgrade. So the existing soils that are there will lay down a fabric. We'll then lay down, you could see the dashed lines that go through kind of the middle of the field. So those are what we call flat panel drains. They're about 1 inch in diameter drains that have basically 12 of those inch diameter pipes welded together. It's a plastic drain system. That drain rolls out on the subgrade. So as water drains through the field, it'll get into that perforated composite flat drain pipe. And over the top of that stone, over the top of that pipe, there'll be a bunch of very permeable stone that's graded to a fairly specific gradation, so that the field both grades out well, but it's also very stable. So there's a specific kind of stone that we use to make sure you have stability, but you also have high permeability of the stone. So that allows the carpet, the synthetic turf carpet, to basically sit on the top of that stone base. And when it rains, the carpet has a very high permeability rate, allows the water to go through, that drainage stone, get into that flat drain pipe, which carries, and we kind of have a ridge line down the middle of the field. So it'll carry the water to both the north and south, depending on which side of the ridge it hits, and up to the edge of the field where there's that little bigger dash line. It's a little wider around the outside of the field. That's our collector pipe. So all of those flat drains tie into that collector pipe, ultimately drain down around, have a continuous pitch all the way down to where Kevin's cursor is there, where we have a discharge to, there's an existing detention basin that was built as part of the high school project. So we're going to tie the drainage back into that detention basin. So you might be asking yourself, well, if we're going to have all this water draining, quickly, is there going to be an increase in the amount of runoff that's coming off the site? The answer is no, because we have a really big bathtub of stone. So between all of those pipes, there's 8 inches, an average of 8 inches of stone in there. So as water comes through there, it serves, and it's very, very flat. So water moves very slowly through that bathtub of stone. So it provides a lot of volume for storm water to basically be stored. And as it slowly kind of trickles over to those pipes, we find that while our analysis looks at this site as if it was just kind of a dirt site, so if we assume that, and we have a stormwater report in your package, happy to walk through it in more detail, but the premise is that the site is basically barren soil. So water is running off, not on the surface like you might typically see stormwater run off, but we actually account for it going completely through the carpet and down to that bare soil that's at the interface of the stone in the soil. And if we're just to look at that soil, there actually would be more runoff. If you had just a bare site with just soil, you'll have more water running off the surface compared to the grass surface that's there now. But we look at the offset and the amount of stone that's there and the amount of storage that's in that stone, and those two things offset each other to a point where we don't assume there, or we don't believe there'll be any peak inflow or outflow rates from the turf field. The good thing here is that we do have another treatment system, which is the detention pond that's already there, which is fantastic to have that extra treatment. So that's a very quick summary on kind of how we look at drainage on a field like this. We do have to be careful, again, as Kevin mentioned, those geothermal wellheads there. We've got to keep the grading pretty shallow so we don't intercept that. And we need to look at our drainage pipes to make sure they don't intercept that. But we've kind of designed this with the idea of kind of working our way around that system. And Kevin, if you go one step further, I can go through the sediment erosion control plan too, which I know this commission may have interest in. So the big thing that we're doing here.
Before we move on to that.
Oh yeah, sure.
Before we move on to that, can I just have a little bit more about this geothermal or whatever this well is that's going to be placed underneath? And I guess I just don't quite understand what it is, and if something goes wrong, what happens?
Yeah, so I'll take that. So I just put up the existing conditions plan. So that geothermal well system was built as part of the high school construction project. It's basically a series of pipes and tubing. So there's pipes the geothermal pipes go down deep into the ground, and then miles really of plastic tubing is approximately 4 feet underground, and it connects all those wells. Now that pipe is filled with a glycol liquid. So basically the heat is absorbed from the earth and it's captured in those pipes, and it's a material, it's antifreeze basically, that stays warm and circulates the warm glycol fluid. Early on in this project, we raised this as a concern, building a synthetic turf cap on top of one of these fields. What could be the issue? So we got in touch with the installer and designer of this field system and picked their brains, basically said, first of all, can this be done? Has it been done? And the answer is yes. Do they have any questions or concerns? And some of the stuff that we brought up, keeping a certain amount of cover over these pipes is necessary for the temperature regulation. But really, once these pipes are in the ground, the only thing that can damage them is, it's construction equipment or sticking fence posts or, things like that into the ground. So what we talked about was developing a program that it'll, be on the contractor who builds this field, but they'll coordinate with the geothermal well specialist, that they'll do pre-construction commissioning to make sure that the system's up and running, functioning properly. When they do their excavation, their mass earthwork, there'll be another check of the system to make sure that there's no damage that's been occurred. And then as they start building the synthetic turf field up over it, there'll be additional testing. There's an access port, which is tough to see. It's over here by my cursor, by this test pit. And that is not going to be covered. That we want to maintain access to. But when all's said and done, the turf field will go on over top, and we'll have checks and balances throughout the process to make sure that the system doesn't get compromised.
So the ground heat or whatever, the installation of the turf over this existing well is not going to impact the normal heat of soil. It'll still provide that same.
Yeah, the heat's coming from the bottom. So as long as we have enough cover on top to give it the current insulation that it needs, then there's no issue. And Dan had mentioned we lifted the grades and worked with the earthwork on this project to make sure we have adequate coverage.
All right, so it's ground heat. Okay.
Yep, it's ground heat.
And the other question I have as far as drainage, I'm sure you've given this consideration, but talk to me a little bit more about warm days and freezing nights. Are these pipes designed to quickly disperse of that water, or how does that work? Or how does it work even in a large winter rainstorm that goes to a flash freeze?
Yeah, Dan, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, so it's going to function like, so these fields during the winter function very much like the grass field that's there now. Obviously, you'll certainly get freezing. If you get if you get one of those winter rains and it's above 32 degrees, the water is going to drain. It's going to drain through the system. If you get, a freezing rain and then some snow on top of it, and you get some heat, the turf actually will heat up a little bit quicker than normal grass. So it actually will kind of defrost quicker than you would see in a normal grass situation. You're talking about, can you just, I guess, walk me through a little bit more your question?
Well, I guess I'm looking at with the runoff, with the melting, and if in the case it does get cold quickly, does that water freeze in those pipes, or is it designed with the positive pitch and the soil underneath to quickly disperse of that water? Is it deep enough? I guess my question is it deep enough?
Yeah, so it's I could tell you nothing we've ever seen that we've had a problem with the pipes freezing and kind of bursting. We've opened up, a number of these fields because we've been at this for 15 or so years. So we've seen a lot of the fields that we put in, 10, 12 years ago in their second cycle, and we've opened them and looked at them. And I can't say I've seen a situation where you open and you look at that flat drain pipe and it's kind of burst because the freezing water has expanded and burst it. So I don't think that I don't think you'll see that kind of thing. It is all pitched. All these pipes are pitched, just like any pipes. The pipes on the outside have, mostly they're below kind of frost depth. That the collector pipe that is around the outside of the field, I think it starts around 2.5 feet deep, which is just like, the pipes that you have in your roads and stuff. They'll be 2.5 to 3 feet deep at minimum. Same thing here. And then you'll find, actually as we pitch all the way down and around, we're actually like 6 feet deep, 7 feet deep. So we'll be down below the frost level anyway at that point. So I don't foresee that as any issue that you're going to have a freezing of the water in the pipes.
Okay, great, thank you.
I have a question, and it may not make any sense, but I'll ask it anyway. So with the turf, that's basically kind of rubber material. When water drains through, is there any toxicity or any chemicals that come from this turf that might impact either that well or the drainage process?
Early on, with my involvement in turf at Mylona McBroom, I learned this from my mentors, how to design these fields and what went into them. But we were our company was at the forefront of doing runoff testing on sand and crumb rubber turf fields. We took microorganisms that were sensitive to potential leachates from various chemicals and products, and we ran laboratory testing, and it basically showed, long story short, and we can share this report, but it basically showed, because of the way we designed the system and the stone ballast base that we use, runoff actually sometimes was cleaner coming out of the system than the rainwater going into it. We really attribute that to the type of stone we specify. Basically, it almost acts like a charcoal filter and cleans the stone. So there's been extensive testing, and ever since we've done it, many others have done testing on the quality of runoff, and there's no evidence that basically anything in crumb rubber leaves crumb rubber at any point in the lifespan of the material. So the crumb rubber, we admit that there's chemicals in there. There's a lot of stuff that goes into a car tire to vulcanize it and make it that firm, hard, rubbery car tire material. But even when it's ground down to a crumb, which is used in these fields, the material stays inert. It does not ever leach any of the chemicals that make it up.
Okay, and
I hope that answers
that coupled with the stone, this particular stone that's used, makes it potentially makes it safer for the environment.
Yeah, we don't see any negative environmental impacts. The best thing is that we're saving thousands of car tires from going to a landfill where they'll just sit. They're being repurposed. As Dan mentioned, after year 12 or sometimes even longer, these fields are removed and have to be replaced. We put in our specifications to reclaim that material and utilize the good stuff and the cleanest of the product and put it back down on the fields. So it has multiple lifespans. It's a great repurposing of a product.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I had a question. So the useful life of a field like this is 12 years?
So these fields, they're getting better all the time, but up until just a couple years ago, a synthetic turf field, the way we specify it, and the way many others do, comes with an 8-year warranty. Basically, 8 years against defects, 8 years against this field becoming too firm, too hard with proper maintenance for use. However, at year 8, most of these fields are still in very good shape as long as they've been maintained properly. And we've seen it much longer. We've seen fields at D1 colleges that are under lights, so used all day, all evening. And 14 years later, they still would pass all safety testing. They just get worn out. The fiber breaks down. It's carpet. These are made in the same carpet mills as the carpet we put on our floor. So just imagine if you're, running around playing sports on your carpet day in, day and night. They break down. But again, the products are getting stronger every year. The maintenance practices and the machinery that's used for it is better. And as long as these fields are taken care of, they should easily last 12 years. Warranties have been extended now. 10 years becoming more the norm for a warranty. But yes, they do have a lifespan, and I know the schools have taken into account, the cost it's going to take to replace this field 10, 12 years down the road.
And how about the geothermal fields? Do they have a useful life too?
A lot longer than this field. Again, if it's not damaged, if it's working fine now, which has to be confirmed because we do go to a lot of schools and they're like, oh, these are tricky, complex systems. But the real complex part's off in the school building. It's not this well field. We just have to make sure that the pipes stay intact, that it's not damaged by construction. And I don't quote me on it, but I believe these are either 25 or 50-year warranties on these systems, or they're expected to last that long.
So what you want to do is just coordinate the two so that if you have to take up your field, you'd also check out your geothermal field. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, I think, any other questions? If not, we can continue.
So I just plan-wise, the only thing we didn't show you is just our typical construction details. Dan had started talking about sediment erosion controls, that we have them in place to protect the wetlands and the buffer throughout construction. We have our typical details with our filter fence and hay bales and construction pad. But these are the typical construction details that make up the field. We have a cross section that basically just tells the contractor this is how it's going to look from one end to the other. We have a perimeter concrete curb that the turf is glued to or nailed to, depending on the manufacturer's recommendation. So this surrounds the field. It's flush with the ground, so it's not sticking up. It's not a raised concrete curb. We have our synthetic turf cross section, which shows the turf fibers, the grass blades, the carpet with the infill mix, typically crumb rubber and sand. And we have our top stone layer, which is that specialty graded stone that allows to get the planarity and stability that we need, but also have good drainage. Then we have the base stone layer and those flat drains that Dan had mentioned. And that all sits on top of a geotextile fabric. Now, just like to note that we don't specify an impermeable liner. Some cases, some scenarios, they basically put down pond liners. But unless we have a reason to do that, we like to just put a permeable fabric just to keep fines and contaminants from the existing subsoils from getting into our drainage layer. We don't want to contaminate that drainage layer, but we also want natural permeability into the ground where possible. This is the collector pipe that goes around the perimeter, a 12-inch diameter perforated pipe that sits in a stone trench. So that's where the water is evacuated eventually. Some typical storm drainage details. And then these are just some of the fencing I mentioned, and then the field markings. So, we'll have soccer, boys lacrosse, and girls lacrosse on this field. And then we'll also have the softball and baseball practice markings. But they'll be just white lines on green turf. They won't be brown synthetic turf. So that makes up this drawing package. We're happy to answer any other questions you guys have, and we'll stay online.
I have an additional one regarding the replacement. When it comes time, when the 12 or 15 years or whatever it is, the field has become non-playable. When you talk replacement, what are we talking? Everything, right down to the
So typically, like I said, sometimes the infill material can be reclaimed and reused, supplemented and reused in the new field. And, so depending on how it's specified, the carpet can either be cut up into 10-foot wide strips and it's rolled up with its infill. And it's taken, in 10 years, it will guaranteed be taken to a recycling facility. Unfortunately, now those only exist in a couple countries and they're not in the US, but they are currently under construction in the US. So that's why when this field would be ready for replacement, there will be recycling in place in the US. Turf manufacturers are coming up with new ways all the time to recycle this material and to repurpose it. But they're getting to the point where they're they should be able to make it into a new synthetic turf carpet. Now they're grinding it up and separating the components and creating foam pads, flooring, things like that, fencing materials, kind of like the composite decking. That's actually can be made from recycled synthetic turf. So the material's pulled up by a specialty contractor and hauled off somewhere. And hopefully in this case, it would not be a landfill because there'll be plenty of viable options in the future. Sometimes if the turf's in decent shape, we have clients that take pieces of it and put it in batting cages or dugout floors and repurpose it that way. So there's options. But there is a cost to it. This is a big field. It's 143,000 square feet. Right now, if you ask, you're looking at probably $100,000 in disposal costs, and then probably about $4.25 a square foot to replace. But again,
hey, Kev, if I could just ask, I think the question was also about what else would have to be done at that time. So all the drainage we're doing now and the base stone that we're putting in, that should all be good to go. You shouldn't have to touch that, other than the contractor might have to regrade the field to regain the planarity when it gets torn up. Sometimes it gets a little bit messed up, but all the infrastructure below the turf will remain for multiple generations of the turf. So it's really the turf replacement itself and maybe some of the infill that actually gets done when you replace, not all the other preparatory work, the concrete curb on the outside edge, the fencing. That should all be good for, a couple life cycles of turf.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay. Are there any, I don't know, Kevin, are you pretty much done with your presentation, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think we covered the proposed plan, the layout. We value your questions, so.
Okay, Commission, any more questions from you folks? Okay, I'll open it up to public comment of anyone that's online that would like to speak. I'd ask you to please identify yourself with your name and your address. Do you have anyone? But it appears if there's no one in the audience that would like to speak. Okay, so I guess if we are done with Kevin et al. And we have no comment, I will take a motion to close this public hearing.
I move we close the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jane Marsh. Okay. So we have closed this public hearing for the
vote on it.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. Opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion passes. Public hearing is closed.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. The second public hearing is for a special permit application to relocate a first floor bedroom to a newly constructed second floor half-story on a non-conforming lot on property located at 309 Sea Spray Road. Who do we have?
Me, Jerry Karpuska.
Jerry.
Yes.
Hi, Jerry.
Hi. I'm the applicant for 309 Sea Spray, doing the design work for the residents. And it's an 8,000 square foot lot, required to have 10,000 square feet. So we're short by 2,000. It's an existing one-story dwelling. And the only other nonconformity is the rear lot line. It's required to be 30, and it's 29. And we're proposing a half-story, half the area of the floor below, because that's all we can have in the R10 zone. The half-story will meet the 30-foot setback requirement. The only nonconformity with the addition is the existing 8,000 square foot lot. Otherwise, the proposed addition is all within all required setbacks. It meets the height requirement, meets the floor area ratio. So we're not creating any more nonconformities at all with the proposed half story.
Okay. Bear with me for a second here.
Yep.
Marsh, I forgot once again to ask you as secretary to read the documents.
Right. We have Exhibit A, which is the special permit application dated August 17th, 2020, and the statement of use. We have A1 and A2. A1 is the proposed one-story plan, and A2 is a property survey, land of Robin Hoffman, that's dated and revised to September 9th, 2020. Exhibit B is the legal notice. Exhibit C is the letter to Mr. Gerald Karpuska regarding the meeting. And Exhibit D are the certified mail receipts.
Okay.
I just want to, in the statement of use, I had left out a word in there.
Okay. Let me get to that.
It's down about 3/4 of the way where it says the owner did create. It should say the owner did not create.
Okay.
The lot size, because the lot, she can't do anything about the lot size of nonconformity.
Okay. Why don't I seem to have that?
It's the last thing in the package that I got.
Okay. The owner did. Okay, I have it now. The owner did not create
Right.
the lot size and owner system at one's property. So if I look at the drawings, Jerry. I just had. Here they are. Walk me through this again, please, if you would.
Well, it's an existing one-story dwelling,
Right.
and you can only, in the R10 zone, you can only cover 50% of the floor area below. And that's what we're doing. We're just covering the 50%. We're meeting all the setback requirements, the height requirements. We're not creating any new nonconformities at all with the proposal.
Okay. Okay, does anyone else have any questions? Commission? No? Okay. Is there anyone in the meeting that would like to comment on this? Please state your name and your address if you do speak. Okay, I hear no one. If there's no other questions of the commission members, I will take a motion to close this public hearing.
So move.
Jane Cable, second.
Second it, Jane.
Jane Marsh. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Okay, thank you, everyone. All right. Regular meeting. Agenda item number 1, special permit application to permit proposed field improvement, which will modify the playing geometry and playing surface from manicured lawn to synthetic turf at the Old Lyme Regional High School located at 69 Lime Street. Any comments on that? Jane?
I do. I wonder why this wasn't sent to our consulting engineer. I don't feel competent to evaluate the drainage.
Okay.
This should automatically have gone to Tom for his review. And then,
Tom Metcalf, right?
yeah,
Okay. Anyone else? I have, Dan, is that you?
Yep.
Go ahead,
I'm
sorry.
not sure. I think Tom may have looked at this for the wetlands approval. But we certainly, if not, we can certainly send it back to him if you'd like.
the wetlands minutes did not indicate that Tom Metcalf had given them a report. I read their minutes.
Okay. I do know it did go up to the state, and they had reviewed that on their level.
The state.
I do believe Deep did take a look at this.
So
But,
if,
yeah, if the commission's not comfortable, that's something that I can certainly do.
I think it's worth a second pass through just to make sure that it was fully reviewed. So Dana, this is Maria, to me, it does make sense to at least do the due diligence and double check.
Right. And I would agree with that. So I think we should have Tom take a look at it.
Yeah, it's all about drainage. That's the whole thing.
I agree. In addition to that, I have a question on, has there been a cost-benefit analysis to keeping the existing manicured lawn
That's
compared
huge. Their problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not under our purview.
I mean, it's ultimately a taxpayer problem. But what is it?
True, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, I still tend to agree. My breath is being taken away with what the cost of this thing is, but it's the district's decision to do that.
Yeah.
They have that other field that is also quite expensive to maintain, so.
And this well, I mean, that's just,
That's
not an
pre-existing.
Right, it's pre-existing, but what happens if something goes wrong? Up comes the field?
Yep.
Yeah,
Paul, once again, that's
Well,
the
they
schools
built-
and the town's
I
problem.
know, no, I understand that. I'm just,
They have
But a
an
big hole
access. They have access to that well.
to one of the part, yes, off to
Yeah.
the side.
Well, and I felt better when I heard that it would come up every 10 to 12 years because that's enough of an increment for them to continually have access to that well too. So
Right,
without,
they need to.
But for us, the issue is making sure that it was reviewed, making sure that, what we're potentially approving, was safe and
Right.
that it doesn't have issues. So I think that's the thing we should be concerned about.
Jane Marsh, you read something, there was something in our exhibits that mentioned something with conditions. What document was that?
okay. That was the inland wetlands legal notice. You want me to read it? You
Yes.
still got it. I think so. You have the meeting minutes too.
Do you know what the conditions were with that? Did they?
Let's see, exhibit.
They set them out in their decision.
Okay.
It's exhibit
So then
B. It doesn't, it just says, it doesn't actually say what the conditions are. It just says approved with conditions.
With conditions, yeah. So
If you read their minutes, the minutes talk about they extracted from the Board of Ed.
okay, Dan, you were saying?
Yeah, the two commissions in the general permit was, well, it's just really one. I mean, there's the two normal ones with the disturbed earth surfaces shall be stabilized with hay mulch and suitable ground cover to prevent erosion and sediment during construction, and then the failure to comply. But the one condition the Wetlands Commission placed upon them was paver block surface be installed in the northeast corner instead of what is currently bituminous walkway for maintenance access. So that was the one condition Wetlands imposed on this. So that will be a condition for the project.
They were worried that the walkway was impermeable, so they asked them to use something that was at least partially permeable.
Okay. Okay. So at a minimum, that condition would be part of an approval.
Correct.
The other,
It already is. Because that wetlands imposed that condition.
okay.
Yeah. So as the wetlands enforcement officer,
I see it. I see it. Yeah, it's already in here. Okay. Any more discussion?
I'll move that we put our decision off until next month and to give us time to receive a report from Tom Metcalf.
Okay. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, so this agenda item will continue to next month, and hopefully by that time we'll have a decision from Tom Metcalf whether he agrees and supports whatever other decisions. I think Dan mentioned the state, to see if it's a go, and we'll address it next month. Okay.
Will do. I'll make sure that gets over to him this week.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Okay, the second item we have is the special permit application to relocate the first floor bedroom to a newly constructed second floor half-story on a non-conforming lot on property located at 309 Sea Spray Road. We have any discussion on that or comments or input? Seems to be pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I'd like to just go ahead and make a motion to approve it.
Okay, second. Jane Cable. All in favor? Aye.
All right. So we will incorporate it into our normal special permit approval format.
We have, yes, I have that right here.
Yep. So we don't have to have
so-
conditions, but we'll still use the format.
Right, so the motion was made by, I mean, are you writing this, Dan, or should I write it on here?
Which part?
The motion.
You're gonna fill in
I
this?
actually don't have that
For
in front of me
special-
anymore. I gave them all these. Could you write that down?
Okay,
If you don't
yeah,
mind?
so the
I
motion,
apologize.
did Jane Marsh made the motion. Seconded by Jane Cable. In favor
So actually,
was,
Paul, I am taking notes on who's on the vote. I am taking notes on the vote.
okay, so you have all
Tim
that.
Barrows wanted me to do that for.
Do I really have to read this?
No, I just want to use it.
Okay,
Read it
That's-
again. We're gonna use our standard format.
standard format, yes,
Yeah,
that's what we will use.
but no conditions.
No,
Yeah, no special conditions.
okay. Item 3,
Oh, did we vote on it, or we're just discussing what we're gonna finally vote on? We made a motion?
no, I thought,
We did vote.
I guess we
thought we
did
voted.
vote, but now we're just clarifying, right?
ahead of this,
Yes.
right. Virtual meetings are fun. You're supposed to pass this, Dan, you're supposed to pass this like this to me.
Oh, right.
And I simply
I'll get
pull
that
off the
installed
top of
next
my
week.
computer like this. Okay. We're good to move on. Looks like we'll be doing this probably till the end of 21 from what I'm reading. Okay, agenda item 3. Special permit application to permit a centralized gravity source system and associated improvements for the Old Colony Beach Club Association and the Old Lime Shores Beach Association. We want to receive and set a public hearing for this item. So do I have a motion that we receive this item for the gravity sewer system and set the public hearing for October 2020?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Jane Marsh, second.
I'll
What
second.
happened to Jane? Second by Tammy. What happened to Jane Cable?
She's gone.
She's gone again.
Yeah, I don't see her.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Okay. So the public hearing is set for next month. Okay, and the inserted new agenda item number 4, to receive and set a public hearing for 10 Saltair Drive for the demolition and rebuilding of a single-family home. We received this and set the public hearing I guess it's a quick item. I'm concerned about the sewer, the connection, that taking some time. Let's set this take a motion to receive and set this for the October 2020 meeting. Is that okay? Do we think that's a doable item?
Yeah, I know the reason I added it and received it is the applicant really wants it heard in October so that they can start construction.
There's no reason
Well,
why we can't put it on the agenda and start it. If there are too many questions, we may need to wait or table some things, but we can at least start it in October.
right. Okay, so let's receive and set it for the October 2020 meeting. Have a motion
Moved.
and second. Jane, oh, I thought she was back.
Tammy, whatever you did, undo it.
Got two of you now.
Yeah, 'cause Tammy, there's two of you. There's two of you, Tammy. There's two of you.
I muted them both. Sorry, they're
One
muted
of
now.
them needs to be eliminated.
Okay, so
All right, I'm going to unmute
so
Tammy first.
okay,
Okay.
Jane Marsh, a motion, second.
I'm here twice.
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh. Why is this? Oh my God, Mom. It's so loud.
I muted Paul, Tammy. I muted 3 people. All right, let me try. Tammy's on twice. That's part of the problem. Tammy's on twice. Tammy, why doesn't Paul? Let me unmute you guys.
Okay.
Why don't you make the motion, and if Tammy agrees,
Okay.
she gives a thumbs up. If not,
Okay.
thumbs down.
All right, so
Okay.
Tammy has seconded it, okay? All those in favor? Aye. Tammy,
Aye.
thumbs up?
Aye.
Tammy, thumbs up? Okay. All opposed? Abstaining, and Ms. Cable's back.
Jane is back on.
Okay. All right, so that is set then for October as well.
All right, unmuted. Nope.
Are these, is the, public hearing for the, Old Colony, are those all going to go to Tom Metcalf too? Or was Tom
And-
Metcalf already been reviewing that?
I
sorry.
don't know. That's a good question.
The sewer project?
Yes.
Yes.
Was that yeah, Tom has been involved in the sewer project, as well as the zoning attorney, the planning attorney, the wetlands attorney. When I started, it was hard to wrap my head around kind of the project because it was so many moving parts. And we had a complaint about a construction staging area on Gorton Ave extension. So I kind of pulled in Tom, Matt Willis, and Ed Casella to help me kind of parse out exactly what was happening with the projects. It got very confusing. So yeah, Tom has reviewed this for wetlands, and I certainly will invite him to be part of the WebEx meeting next month for not only now for the turf fields, but obviously for the sewers.
Because
Please,
he
yes.
would normally give us a written report.
Right.
And I just wonder if there's enough time for him to make his written report for October. I don't, that's,
I'll talk to him about it. He's certainly familiar with the project because we've been meeting about this now for at least 2 to 2.5 months.
okay,
So you should have a head start on that.
all right.
Yeah, this is Alan.
Okay.
I mean, it's hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, we usually get Tom's report to read in advance of the subject being discussed. So I would hope that we would see that before this comes up next meeting.
He usually
That will be-
sends a letter to the CEO and the chairman, and one of them can send it out to us right away.
What was that for, Jane?
That would be good.
Tom
Jane,
Metcalf
no.
usually sends a letter.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna call Tom when I'm back in the office, and he has all the materials already, so we'll request that letter as well as the turf field look at.
Right. And Tom usually does that, as Jane Cable and Jane Marsh were saying, everybody really. He normally sends that out before the meeting, normally a copy to you and to me. And then one of us will get it out to the rest of the commission. But that's usually before the meeting. That's a
Okay,
standard
yeah, I'll
operating
ask him.
procedure.
Yeah, I know. I'll ask him to get it to us as soon as he can, and then we'll get it to you as soon as we can.
Okay. Okay, we're good on that one?
Mhm.
Okay, so we are at new business discussion regarding the coastal resilience and adaptation study. That's been tabled for further research. The hazard mitigation plan update, that's ongoing. We have anything different on that, Dan?
I can give a quick update. I can share this with the commission later. There will be a public WebEx meeting again on this. I believe in the beginning of September. I have a meeting at the end of August. Right now, I'm working with the Fire Marshal Dave Roberge to finalize some edits on the annex of the plan, which deals specifically with Old Lyme. So we're just getting some corrections on there and some clarification. But we've been reviewing and making comments on that plan for the last 2 months. So we should have a draft document by the end of the month. I believe the meeting with town staff is August 29th, and then I can share the meeting date for the next presentation from the River Cog and Scott Choquette over at Dewberry, who is the main consultant.
Okay.
So that's
right,
pretty much
Ken.
all that's moved on the meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, and now the plan of conservation development.
Yeah, so the Planning Commission has been meeting now for several months on this. Many times a month, they've been working really hard on this, trying to get this churned out. With COVID, it's obviously added a layer of challenge. There are some main points that they are interested in you guys thinking about while you're making comments. Harold Thompson is on the call right now. He's the chair of the commission.
Yep.
Harold, I didn't know if you wanted to chime in or if you just wanted me to keep
I
going.
would. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to address the zoning commission. This has been very informative. The beauty of Zoom is that, you can attend the meetings which you don't normally attend. And I think this has been a wonderful opportunity to kind of monitor and kind of sit back and see how you guys work. And I'm impressed. So I'm very grateful for that. We have a draft copy of the POCD that's been sent to you as a commission. And we've had several workshops over the course of the summer. We've been meeting outside just to make sure we have social distancing and so forth. And we've gone through the documents to try to update them as best we can. And so we're looking to, our goal is to go for a public hearing in November, but there's a certain amount of time that has to go through that is required for other people to review it, including River Cog and the Board of Selectmen. So what we're asking is that you take a look at the current plan of conservation development and provide feedback within a couple of weeks. I know that's aggressive, but we'd ask you to do what you can. And some of the commission members are really kind of concerned about 3 different areas that it really impacts zoning. And that includes the height restriction along the shoreline. We know that's been a discussion that we've had for several times. And some are concerned about what are our plans for the proposed rise in seawater level along the shoreline? What are we going to do about that? So Those are a couple of big things. And then as a member of the Affordable Housing Committee, one of the things we're looking at is, which kind of relates into this, is accessory apartments. Right now, our restrictions or our zoning requirements for accessory apartments are kind of somewhat restrictive in terms of what modifications can be done to houses based on the date that they were built. And so any modifications to those regulations might help us in achieving or approaching our goal for affordable housing on Lyme. And one of the big things that we're looking at and we acknowledge is that there's accessory apartments on Lyme that are not documented. And people are not willing to document those because they fear that their taxes will increase or it is income that's not recorded. But at the same time, we're looking to see if we can achieve some degree of flexibility with what is an accessory apartment and how it can be related to affordable housing. So I don't want to take up a lot of your time, and my intention was not to spend a lot of time discussing this. Like I said, the report is in draft. We're looking at additional photographs. We're still receiving comments from other commissions, but we would really like to hear what everyone has to say. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Harold.
Thank you. So I mean, I have a couple of questions or comments because I've had an opportunity to kind of read through the document, and I recognize it's in draft form. I'm wondering, is there an opportunity, because I found, several areas where I would be interested in understanding more about the plan. Especially around, you mentioned climate change. You talked about the affordable housing piece, but also, there's an issue where we talk about the aging population in Old Lyme, but I don't necessarily see recommendations around, what is the plan either to address that? Is it a local plan? Is it coordination with RiverCog? I'd like to see really just more detail around it. And also how it is that we, best communicate these plans to ensure that, they're actionable and that they move forward. So is there an opportunity to meet with the team of folks that have developed the plan and have more of a dialogue? Because we can certainly just do high-level commentary, but there seems to be more that needs to be discussed, I would think, if you wanted to make a really strong, solid plan. So I wonder if there's an opportunity to meet or discuss.
I felt that issues were skimmed. I mean, you can talk about raising structures at the shoreline, but what are you going to do about the roads? If the roads aren't raised, they're going to be taking boat rides from Mile Creek School to their houses. I mean, I don't think it was broad, but not deep. And I don't think a lot of critical thought went into the issues.
May I address that? That's a good question, because we've discussed, I've gone to seminars over in Old Saybrook where they've done detailed studies about what happens with a 100-year storm or 500-year storm, about which areas are totally flooded and which areas become islands in themselves. And so first of all, identify the fact that the plan of conservation development is like a 10,000-foot view of what we want to do for Old Lyme. We have other programs that are addressing accident management if we have a storm. And so one of the things that we've talked about that we were looking at a company called AGF or something that came in. They did a study for Old Saybrook that what would happen in Old Saybrook if they had a 500-year storm, and what would happen? What streets would need to be elevated? What areas would need to be protected? How are you going to get people out of those areas? And so they came in and provided us with a preliminary study, but we need to go back and do that a little bit more, a lot more, because we have, as you say, we have areas that along the shoreline that are going to be, if we have a very serious storm, are going to be severely impacted. But this is not to be an accident mitigation program. This is like an oversight about where the town goes to be.
But I didn't mean that. I say that those issues don't exist in a vacuum, just as the issue of an aging population isn't solved by saying we need different kind of living arrangement. We need transportation. I mean, there are a ton of issues that are connected with an aging population. And that's the kind of thought that is not showing in the plan.
Well, going to the transportation, when you talks about the Lower Connecticut Valley River Cog, they have 2 districts of transportation for public transportation.
I read that.
And they're being combined.
I read that. But if we had housing along transportation lines or actually in the commercial center, we wouldn't have to worry about a bus coming by every 2 hours. I mean, these issues are not discrete.
They're all connected. Mm-hmm.
Plus, there were a ton of misspellings and grammatical errors.
Let's just go beyond that.
Okay.
It's a draft. And so it's a draft as a draft. So we're looking for inputs. And so, you're correct in that public transportation for older people or people who are disability is an issue. And that is something that we're all struggling to deal with. I mean, you see bike racks on the front of these transport buses, but I'm not sure that I've ever seen any bikes on them. So, and I drive through Essex and people are waiting for the bus. I drive through even down in Old Lyme, people are waiting for the bus. So that's a system that should be improved and can be improved. But I don't have, that's not part of the plan of conservation and development. We look for these things to be done, but we don't have a finite plan. Like I said, this is a big picture view of what we're looking for the town of Old Lyme.
I agree that it's a big picture view, but I'm also of the opinion that there's an opportunity to add a little more specificity or meat around it so that there's clarity around the actual actions that we think might be priorities. And the question is, what's the communication vehicle to either have a dialogue around it, or is it just we write up our commentaries and send them in?
No, when you look at the end of the POCD, there's a list of action items that
I've seen them, yes.
Say this should be done, and here are the responsible parties. This should be done. This is the responsible parties. Go through those. If there's something that you don't see, list it. Please list it, and then tell us what you think the responsible party is, and we'll examine that.
It's more than just the responsible party. I think the depth of the issues needs work.
Okay.
So Harold, I have a question for you. because I read all that Saybrook information that they got, and I thought it was fantastic. Saybrook clearly has a bigger problem than we do.
Yes.
Ours are more specifically located. And
Yes.
of course, we made our little attempt last year to deal with sea level rise, and we got instead an uprising of Old Line citizens. They rose up. So we really backed off because I felt myself that I didn't quite have enough information. But it would be just wonderful if we could have the same kind of, not all of what Saybrook did, because some of it I thought was at too basic a level, but there was at least one report that company did for Saybrook, that if we could have that for Old Lyme, and I think somebody said it costs quite a lot of money to get it done, but if we had it, it would start indicating specifically the areas of town where issues that Jane Cable brings up, which is, yes, you have a bunch of houses that are now 45 feet tall or whatever they need to be in order to get above the flood line. Well, you can laugh, but that's basically the possibility, but you can't get to them. They might all be in Miami Beach. That's all in one beach, but those road systems are all private. And I don't say that they are in Miami Beach, but we could learn through a study where the areas are that are really very close to sea level. And then we could have a plan about how do you deal with all the infrastructure, because the infrastructure isn't there. And what brought it home to me most of all was the pumping station for the sewage treatment thing. When I saw the design for that, it's very tall and very much involved in flood concerns. And it showed you just what buildings would have to be if they're designing for both sea level rise and an increase in storms and various things that would add on top of that.
No, I agree.
Recommend that we spend a ton of money and get a new report.
I think we need a new report. I think we need a report that is specifically for the town of Old Lyme.
Yeah, so do I.
And I think that you know, you're when I looked at this project previously, and they were talking about the sewage pump down in this low-lying area, and they suggested, well, you know, it could be, you know, service could be interrupted. We'll put solar panels on the top. Well, in a storm, you're not going to get a whole lot of sunlight, so it was.
It's when the eye comes, Harold. It's just the eye.
Okay, well, wait for the eye. So, but I think
or a Tesla
that is something that we should, you know, pursue.
But I think to convince the general population of Old Lyme that we really need to do something, the plan of conservation development would be a good first place. But I think they need information. I think the reason Saybrook had all those studies done was they had great presentations with giant maps of the town that showed the areas. And people, it wasn't so threatening because people went in and they saw all of it. And it wasn't as if you had the naysayers versus the tree huggers. It was more of an appreciation that the town had a problem.
Yeah, it was more of it was an academic presentation, and I went to it down in the point, and I thought it was very good, and it was comprehensive.
That, yep. I think until we do something like that and educate the citizens that they're just going to get angry.
Yeah, correct. Well, we had invited them. Like I said, they came to speak before the planning commission, and we somehow kind of lost contact after a while. But it was more than a year ago.
So I think that Maria is asking for a joint meeting.
I'm fine with that.
Great.
We should set it up.
Yeah, I'm fine. We have talked about this among the planning commission several times, and right now our next workshop is set up for September 24th, and so Normally we sit outside behind the town hall, but if it's going to be several members of the zoning commission, we may want to consider a Zoom meeting for this.
It would be great to be at a real meeting.
Well, I love the real meetings. I tried once to make a presentation in the big meeting room in town hall, and we were all wearing masks, and we had a projector on the wall trying to go through the POCD, and no one could understand me, no one could
Correct.
hear me, and it was it was horrible.
Correct. But if we're outside, we can yell.
Hallelujah. But
It'll be more than 6 feet if you're yelling.
I know.
Just don't cough.
Okay. But
so what I guess I can do is coordinate with Paul and Harold. I don't know if the zoning commission can go to the workshop without us noticing it. I know it's just a workshop and it's not a meeting, but we're going to have a quorum of we have a quorum of zoning.
And we may have to have like a special meeting, just because it's, for Freedom of Information Act and all that stuff. So I have no problem with that.
Special meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I will coordinate with the chairs and work with both Kims to get that set up this week at some point.
Good.
I'm probably just going to pick a date as soon as we can do it and hope as many as
why
you can come.
don't we go with the 24th? Because we had already scheduled that for the 24th.
I can't notice it in time, Harold.
It takes a week, right?
It's once between 10 and 15 days and once between 2 and 10. And to get the legal notice into the paper is going to take a couple days.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, is there a better day in the week for everyone? Is it
let me know. But I was thinking, we normally have our stuff around 5:30. I know that might be early for some people, but
well, I guess it just depends if we're in person or via WebEx. Are we going to try to do an outdoor meeting in person?
No, I would suggest let's do a WebEx. I think that's better for right now.
Probably the
WebEx.
I'm looking at all the screens.
Probably the WebEx would be fine. I'm fine with that. If you were moderator or something. That's fine.
Geez, Jane, no more, none of those jokes, Jane. This is not allowed.
I missed something.
On this.
I missed something.
Yes, inside joke.
Okay.
All right, so I will work with both Kims and the chairs on setting that up. No jokes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Harold.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Have a good evening. So
You as well.
I'm gonna exit right now then.
Okay.
All right. Good talking to you, Harold. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, moving right along.
Yeah.
So agenda item, I guess it's 6 now, old business, the electric charging stations. I have good news, bad news and good news.
You'll get a charge out of this.
You'll get a charge out of this one, right. We may be making some movement on that soon. So we're, Dan and I are going to work on that. I know it was in my court for a while, but I asked Dan for some help. So we're going to try and pull that together and see what we can get out of it.
Good.
So that's, that's moving.
We'll see what's out there in other regulations, and then try to take the best from it and see what you guys think. I don't think we need to rewrite write the book on this. I think it's already been done for us.
We had regulations, model regulation sent to us by Matt Willis.
Okay. I can reach out to Matt again.
Okay, so that's still tabled for right now, but I think we'll get some movement on that. I hope to have, not hope, I have to have the annual report out by the end of the month. It's due on the 30th. But in true Pratt & Whitney fashion, we'll go the 11th hour and then we'll change it to the 11th hour. So
You work best under
We
pressure.
never could get anything right or any corrective action started until we first spent hours identifying someone to blame. Then we got it fixed. Okay. Approval of the meeting minutes of July 13th and August 20th.
Did you get them?
No, but they were online if we wanted to read them.
Those,
We
You
can
know-
we can
you know-
wait
Well, I
till
can get
next
them out to
month
you.
on those.
if it's on the agenda, it should be sent to us. All of the documents that are on the agenda should come to us. They always have.
Okay. So we want to put this off until next month? Okay,
I
we'll put
haven't
these
seen
two-
them.
the approval of the minutes of July 13th and August 20th. Dan, Tim can get those out to us, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll put the approval for next month, October.
Okay.
Better pack a lunch for next meeting.
It'll be shorter than ZBA, I can tell you that.
Bite your tongue, it better be. I'm not into 4 hours.
Telling me.
We'll have to have a musical interlude or something like that if it's gonna go 4 hours.
I look forward to the show, Paul.
Yeah. Correspondence, anything, Mr. Beret?
I don't have anything official, but just to give you guys a heads up, this is probably a lot. Well, the affordable housing, I don't know if you've read Line or the Daily, I can't remember what the New London paper is, but there's been some articles, so that would probably go 830G, I would imagine, so it would avoid you guys, but just talking to a lot of people lately about business in town, and talked to 3 separate people about gas stations or convenience stores on Halls Road. So I know there's been opposition to that in the past. I've kind of told them to look at the past meetings and stuff like that, but I just want to let you know there's serious interest, not in having any sort of truck stop on Halls Road, but some sort of local gas station with a convenience store there. So
They already had that.
Have one.
I'm just being the messenger here. I thought, I know that has been a hot topic for your commission, and I wanted to let you know that it might be coming back around.
This is the existing station you're talking about, correct?
The Shell station.
Nope.
No.
Well, the existing and 2 other separate properties I've been called about.
Wow.
Hmm.
And you
So,
say it's not a truck stop, huh?
Oh,
I've made
that'll
it clear
certainly be
that is
intriguing.
a fear that is a fear of the commission, and that is not what the commission wants to see on Halls Road. And all 3 have told me that's not what they want. So we have to see what sort of application they send in and what they say in their in the public hearing. It makes it to that.
Okay.
So I just wanted to kind of give you guys a.
We'll certainly listen and ask a lot of questions.
Okay.
That's all you can. That's all I can ask from you.
Okay.
Okay, so if there is nothing else, is there anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion, took the words out of my mouth. Motion to adjourn. Jane Cable, seconded. Alan, is that you?
Yeah, I am.
Tammy? All right, Tammy, second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining? Okay, meeting is closed. Thank you very much, everyone.
Night.
Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate your
Good night.
time.
Good night.
Good
Dan?
night.
Good night.
Thanks,
Dan?
bye. Dan? Dan?
What's
Don't
up
hang
there,
up,
Joe?
Dan.
Dan, I just wanted to tell you, since we're meeting, there are some people downstairs in a meeting. Are you still at town hall?
Yeah, I'll have to talk to them, I'll have to talk to them about locking up. Thank you for letting me know, though.
All right, take
Tim
care.
didn't let me know that.
That's fine. Talk to you later.
I think you
See
should,
ya.
hey, Dan, I think you should lock up and then let's see what happens. I think it'll be fun.
Oh, okay.
Well, Dan, if you find out they're going to be a while, I can come back over and set the alarm. I just need someone to tell me.
What's a good number to reach you at?
860-391-2878.
Okay. I'll go down and talk to him and see what the deal is, and then I'll take it from there.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mary Jo.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night. And then I'll touch base with you probably Wednesday.
Okay.
I
sounds
don't
good.
think I'll be in tomorrow. Because if tonight's 8:15, tomorrow is probably, or Wednesday's probably 9. So
Yeah.
I'm putting most of my time those 2 days. So
Yeah, the plan of conservation and development is really intertwined. I mean, what we've got tabled here, this coastal resilience and adaptation study, that's what Jane Marsh was hinting at when we wanted to push that setback from 50 to 100 feet. Town went nuts. I mean, they filled the meeting hall and they were just screaming. So it has, if anything has to come out, it has to be data based.
I would agree. I think one thing that Harold didn't mention is like the bus stuff. They're going to mention some bus stuff in the plan, but the Rivercock did a whole bus study. So they're going to cite a couple things from that and then include the entire bus study in the annex. So the annex is going to be gigantic, but they're not trying to bog the thing down with tons of, so this is a smaller document than a lot of towns, but most towns make it so big that honestly, it's a paperweight on the shelf.
Right, it's insurmountable, yeah.
So they're trying to keep it succinct, but we'll see what happens at the joint meeting. I know Harold didn't want to have one. Well, it's not that he didn't want to have one. It's just he wanted to try to meet the statutory deadline in December, and if we have a special meeting, that's probably not going to happen. So it is what it is.
Yep. Okay.
All right. I got to get dinner.
Thanks for running it. Take care, Dan.
Anytime. Good seeing you, Paul.
Good night.